lovelies, and welcome back to our Entrelac-a-long. So as you can see, I've zipped ahead a bit on hat number 1. This is my original cast on edge with ribbing, increase round, and this here is our first row of triangles. And then we have the left leaning rectangles, and then I've started to do the right leaning rectangles here. So I thought while I was working on this hat that the yarn was a little dark, which made it difficult to see what was going on. So I've switched then to a lighter color yarn, hoping that this would be a little bit easier. And in fact, I'm going to use 2 different colors. So I've started with this blue to get the ribbing and our foundation row of triangles. And now we are going to go over how to do the left leaning rectangles, and for that I want to use the warmer toned yarn so you can see the difference. So for this video, I think what we're going to do is we will have 2 shorter videos. This video we will go over our left leaning rectangles, and then in a couple of days we will release another video that shows how to do the following row, which would be our right leaning rectangles. So let's get started. Okay, so now we're going to pick up stitches along the edge of this triangle. We're going to pick up and purl. So we're going to turn our work so the inside is facing us, because remember we had finished purling, so in theory we would just pick up and purl along here. So we want to pick up 6 stitches along this edge. So I have 1 and 2. So I want to grab, see how we have a gap across here? I want to close that gap. So I want to grab a stitch on this side and a stitch on this side. So that's the first 2. So I like to pick up the stitches first and then purl into them so I can see where they're gonna go. So that's 2, so here's 3. And then any of these stitches along your triangle edge is fine. I'm going like every other, if I stretch this out along this edge, it's sort of like every other slanty piece. And it doesn't matter which one of these you pick up, the idea is just any 6 stitches. So this is 2, so then we have 3, 4, 5, 6. So here's 1, 2, 3, so 4 stitches along here, plus the 2 at the bottom. So now I'm going to put them onto my left hand needle. Now, this is probably not the most efficient way. You could pick up and purl as you go, but I always just like to pick up the stitches first so I can see how it looks and then make a final decision about how, if I like how that works out. So now I want to switch colors to my new warm color, sort of this ochre yellow. So I'm going to put my needle into the first stitch as if to purl, because we're purling. And here's 1. And up, around, and down. And see, I'm holding on to the tail, so that was 2. Here's 3. And just purling into these as per normal. So we've got 1, 2, we have 5. So last one, there's 6. Okay, so then we still have 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches from the original triangle. So now we're going to turn our work and we are going to knit the first 5 and then I'm going to slip, slip, knit. So essentially what I'm going to do is we're going to gobble up the stitches from the triangle here. So now here's knit 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5, and now we're going to slip, slip, knit. So it's slipping 2 stitches as if to knit, inserting the left needle into the front of those 2 stitches, and then knitting the 2 stitches together as if they are one. And then you can pull on the tails to get them so they're not so crazy loose. So now we turn our work and we're going to purl back 6. So for your left leaning rectangles, you are always going to purl 6 on the purl row. And then on the right side, you are always going to knit 5 and then slip, slip, knit to gobble up those 6 stitches from the original triangle. So now we turn again. So we're going to end up with a rectangle that leans to the left this way. So now again, we knit 5, slip, slip, knit. And then you want to know how many times you have to keep doing this. Thankfully, you don't have to keep counting how many rows you do this, because when you get to the end, there's a big gap between the end of your stitches that you'll be gobbling up and the next set of stitches. Pretty handy. So 4, 5, and then slip as if to knit, slip as if to knit, insert your needle into the front of the 2 slip stitches, and then knit the 2 together as if they are one. Okay, and see, so now we only have 4 stitches left over here. So we'll be going back and forth 4 more times until these are all gone. So now we're going to turn, and we are going to purl 6. There's 1. Remember, when you purl up, around, and down, through, off. Okay, so here we go, back again, knit 5, slip, slip, knit. I've done entrelac before where instead of slip, 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 knit, it's been a slip, slip 1, knit 1, pass the slipped stitch over. That also works. That gets abbreviated as SKP. This pattern calls for a slip, slip, knit. Both of these will work just as well, and you still get a really nice pretty edge right along here. It's kind of magical how it works out, and entrelac can be pretty potato chippy, meaning you can't do just one row or just one square. You want to keep going to see how it comes out, especially if you are changing colors. It makes it really fun. And the end result is so cool because it looks like you've knitted strips and then woven them together to create fabric. But instead, you've just done knitting magic. So we turn back, and again, it's our knit 5, slip, slip, knit. 1. So, and there's all kinds of cool entrelac projects out there. I've seen entrelac for the tops of sweaters, like around the yoke of sweaters, for tank tops and t-shirts, on straps of sleeveless shirts. So that's our slip, slip, and then we put our needle into the front of the 2 slip stitches and knit them together and turn. There's some patterns for entrelac socks. Uni Jang, if you are familiar with her at all, she is the former editor of Interweave magazine. I think she's got like a whole booklet on various entrelac projects, which is kind of fun. And there are multiple books written by other people about entrelac. So you can go entrelac wild. So 1, we are almost finished our first left leaning rectangle. So this is our 5 stitches, and now we have slip, slip, and then we're going to knit them together. Okay, and then turn. We have our purl 6, and it's kind of cool when you change colors because it's real easy for you to tell where you are on your pattern. Okay, so whether you're using solid colors, all one color that changes color, doesn't matter. So here we go. We've got 5 and then 2 together. I think the entrelac is probably easier to work on when you have color, when you have a yarn that changes color, or if you're changing a color physically every round or every row, I think it's a little easier for you to tell, like if you've made a mistake, how to fix that. So here's our last slip, slip, and knit. Okay, so now we are ready to pick up stitches down this edge. Okay, so we want to look for 6 stitches to pick up. If you've knitted every row and you didn't slip if you knitted every stitch in your row and did not slip the first stitch, probably there will be a garter stitch bump. That's the easiest way to pick up because you can just slip your needle into that bump. Otherwise, just pick up any 6 stitches, and I like to close this gap at the bottom here by picking up the shoulder from the stitch over on the right side and half of the stitch shoulder from the stitch on the left, and then pick up 4 stitches along this edge. So let's go ahead and we can do that now. So here's 1 and 2, and then I'm gonna pick every other of these. So we've got the diagonal legs all along here. If I pick up 1, 2, 3, 4, that kind of works out to every other one. You can do whichever one you want. Some people will pick up even like from back behind. That's not really necessary. So it doesn't matter if you pick up half of the stitch or pick up under an entire side of these. Like if you're going through to the front, it doesn't matter. Just be consistent. That's the most important thing. Okay, so here's our 2 shoulder stitches, the solid blues at the bottom. See, 1 and 2, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, so that's 6. And then 3, these are the original 6 stitches from the triangle back here. So now we're gonna knit down 1, 2, 3, and I am just knitting into these like normal, not doing anything crazy. So we have 5, then this blue one here is the last one, and then here is our 6. Then we're going to turn. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now we turn, and now we're going to knit 5 and do the slip, slip, knit together. So we're going to continue in this same way all the way around our hat until we come back to the beginning. So that was our knit. So we have 3, 4, 5, and then now we're going to slip, slip, knit, turn, and we're going to purl 6 back, and we're going to go in the same way, me and you, all the way around our hat. Then when I see you later this week, 3, 4, 5, 6, we will have our very first row of left-leaning rectangles complete. So thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to send us an email at lovelyarns@gmail.com, or you can leave your question in the comments section below. Good luck to you and happy stitching. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.